My girlfriend kept choosing her ex over me, so I chose myself. I'm Peter, 31, and I guess I'm writing this because I still can't quite believe what I just did. 3 days ago, I had a girlfriend, an apartment, and what I thought was a stable life. Now I'm starting completely over in a new city, and honestly, I think it's the best decision I've ever made. Let me back up. Lena and I had been together for over 2 years. She's 27, works in communications, and when we first met, she was everything I thought I wanted. Smart, passionate, always ready to help people. I'm a construction engineer, pretty quiet by nature, and she brought this energy into my life that felt exciting. About 8 months ago, her ex-boyfriend Seth came back into the picture. He's this freelance artist type, always between gigs, always having some kind of crisis. Lena told me he was going through a rough patch and needed support. She said she felt responsible for him because she'd been the one to end their relationship, and he'd never really gotten over it. It stung. But I tried to be understanding. I really did. I told myself this was just her being compassionate, that it would pass. But it didn't pass. It got worse. Our Friday date night started getting canceled because Seth was having a breakdown. Weekend trips we'd planned would get postponed because Seth needed her to come over and just talk him through some things. I'd wake up to texts from her at 2 a.m. saying she was still at his place because he was in a really dark headspace and she couldn't leave him alone. I brought it up a few times. Calmly, I thought. I'd say things like, "Hey, I miss spending time with you," or "Do you think Seth might benefit from talking to a professional instead?" She'd always get defensive. I was being jealous, I was being insecure, I was being unsupportive of her trying to help someone in need. So I stopped bringing it up. I just watched as my girlfriend slowly became Seth's emotional support system instead of my partner. 3 weeks ago, I got a call from a company in Denver. Big construction firm. They'd been courting me for months about a senior project manager position. Significant pay increase, leadership role, the kind of opportunity that doesn't come around often. I'd been putting them off because I thought Lena and I were building something together. I told them I needed more time to think. Then came this past Friday night. We were supposed to have dinner together. I'd made reservations at this place she'd been wanting to try for months. Around 6 p.m. I got a text. "I'm at Seth's place. He's really struggling tonight. Don't be jealous, don't overthink this, he just needs me right now." I stared at that text for a long time. Something just clicked in my head. Not anger exactly, more like clarity. I texted back, "Take all the time you need." She responded with a heart emoji and "Thank you for understanding. This is why I love you." That's when I called Denver back. Told them I'd take the job, could I start Monday? They were thrilled. Then I called a moving company that does emergency relocations. Costs extra, but I didn't care anymore. I went through the apartment and started packing. Just my stuff. My clothes, my books, my tools, my electronics. Everything that was mine. I worked through the entire night and most of Saturday. The movers came Saturday afternoon. By Saturday evening, my half of the apartment was completely empty. I packed my truck with essentials, arranged for the movers to deliver the rest to a storage unit in Denver, and I wrote a note. Kept it simple. "Lena, we clearly have different priorities. I refuse to be anyone's backup plan. I wish you the best, Peter." I left it on the coffee table in the living room, dropped my key next to it, and drove away. Didn't make any dramatic announcements. I just left. I drove through the night, stopped at a hotel in Nebraska to sleep for a few hours, then kept going. Arrived in Denver Sunday evening. Found a short-term rental that was available immediately. Spent Monday morning at the new company signing paperwork and meeting the team. And here I am. My phone has been blowing up since Monday afternoon. Lena apparently came home to an empty apartment and lost her mind. 33 missed calls, text messages that started with confused questions. "Where are you? What's going on? Why is all your stuff gone? Peter, please answer me." Then shifted to angry, then apologetic, then angry again. Voicemails of her crying, then yelling, then crying again. I haven't responded to any of them. Some of our mutual friends have been reaching out too. Apparently she's telling everyone that I abandoned her out of nowhere, and she has no idea what happened. A few of them are buying it. But a couple of my closer friends have been texting me things like, dude, we all saw this coming and should have left months ago, man. The new job is incredible so far. The team is solid. The projects are exactly the kind of challenging work I've been wanting to do. I'm staying busy, and honestly, it feels good to be somewhere that nobody knows the whole situation. I can just be the new senior PM who's competent at his job. Part of me feels guilty for not giving her a chance to explain or fix things. But the bigger part of me knows that if I tried to have that conversation, she would have convinced me to stay. She's good at that. And I would have woken up 6 months from now in the exact same situation, except I'd have missed this opportunity. So yeah, that's where I am. Single in a new city, starting over at 31. It's terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. Edit. Holy hell, I did not expect this many responses. Some of you asked if I'm worried she'll show up here. Honestly, hadn't thought about that, but she doesn't know where in Denver I am or where I'm working, so I think I'm safe for now. Update 1. So, first things first, the job is amazing. I mean genuinely fantastic. The first week, they put me on this hospital renovation project that's been struggling with timeline issues. Spent 3 days just analyzing their workflow and found about 8 bottlenecks they hadn't identified. My boss literally said, "Why didn't we hire you 6 months ago?" That felt good. Really good. It's nice to be somewhere that my contributions are valued. The team took me out for drinks Thursday of my first week. There's this structural engineer named Derek who's hilarious, and we ended up talking for like 2 hours about the absolute disasters we've seen on construction sites. Normal guy stuff, no drama, no walking on eggshells. Just felt easy. I'd forgotten what that felt like. I also met Quinn. She's an architect here, 29, and she was on that hospital project too. First time we really talked was when I was explaining my timeline proposal to the group, and she just immediately got it. Started sketching out modifications to her designs right there. We've grabbed coffee a few times to coordinate on the project. She's sharp as hell and doesn't waste time on bullshit. I'm not trying to jump into anything, honestly, I'm not ready, but it's nice to remember that conversations with women don't have to be exhausting. Now, the Lena situation. Oh boy. She figured out I was in Denver by the end of my first week. I'm not sure how. The calls and texts had slowed down a bit, but once she knew where I was, they ramped back up. Lots of "we need to talk about this like adults," and "you can't just run away from our relationship" messages. Here's what I didn't mention in my first post. I've been paying about 70% of our rent for the past year. When I left, obviously I stopped my half of the rent payment. She had to cover the full amount herself, and apparently that was a shock to her system. One of her messages was literally, "How am I supposed to afford this place on my own?" Like I'm supposed to keep funding her life after she spent months prioritizing her ex. But the really interesting part is what I've been hearing from mutual friends. A bunch of people reached out to check in on me, asking how the new job was going, how I was settling into Denver, the usual stuff when someone makes a big move. But inevitably, the conversation would shift to Lena. How could it not? And that's when I started hearing things that made me realize I was abandoned out of nowhere narrative wasn't holding up. My buddy Drew, who lives in the same building as we did, texted me about a week after I left. "Dude, I have to tell you something. That Seth guy. He's been here like 4 or 5 nights a week for months. I thought you knew and were cool with it, but after you left I realized you probably had no idea how often he was actually over there." Then Jane, one of Lena's coworkers who I'd always gotten along with, reached out. She said Lena had been venting at work about me being controlling and jealous for months, but after I left, the story changed to "he abandoned me for a job." Jane told me she put two and two together and realized Lena had been lying to everyone, including herself, about what was actually happening in our relationship. The best one was from Tom, my former roommate from college who stayed friends with both of us. During one of our check-in calls, he said directly, "Look man, I need to be straight with you. A bunch of us have been watching this train wreck happen for months. We all knew she was basically having two relationships at once. Some of us tried to hint to you about it, but you seemed to be handling it, so we didn't push. But now she's posting on Instagram about being betrayed and blindsided, and it's honestly insane. Half the people in the comments are calling her out. I checked. I know I shouldn't have, but I did. She'd posted this long thing about how she gave 3 years to someone who threw it all away for a job and how she was learning to heal from abandonment. The comments were mixed. Some people were supportive, but a lot of people were asking questions like, weren't you spending all your time with Seth though? And didn't Peter talk to you about this multiple times? She deleted the post 6 hours later. Seth, by the way, has apparently been MIA since all this went down. According to Tom, once the drama started and Lena actually needed real support, Seth was suddenly dealing with his own stuff and couldn't be there for her. Shocking, I know. Turns out the guy who was happy to take her emotional energy when it meant she'd come running whenever he called isn't actually interested in reciprocating. Lena sent me a few texts that seem like she's starting to realize the situation she's in. Things like, I know I messed up and can we please just talk? But honestly, I'm not interested. I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just done. I spent 3 years trying to make that relationship work and I'm not going to spend any more energy on it. Denver is great, by the way. The city, I mean. I've been exploring on weekends, checking out breweries and hiking trails. Went to a Nuggets game with some people from work. I'm building an actual life here, not just killing time between Lena's crises. I don't know what's going to happen next. Lena doesn't seem like she's going to stop anytime soon. But for now, I'm just focusing on my job, making friends, and remembering what it feels like to not be someone's second choice. Whatever comes later, I'll deal with it when it comes. Edit. For everyone asking, yes, my name is still on the lease. I've contacted my landlord during that crazy 48-hour packing window. The lease doesn't end until March, but there are clauses that let me break it early given the circumstances. It'll cost me some penalties, but way less than continuing to pay for a place I don't live in. I've been working with the landlord, but the process takes time. Update 2. All right, Reddit. I promised myself I wouldn't become one of those people who treats this like a diary, but some significant stuff has happened and I could use some perspective. The Denver life is honestly exceeding expectations. That hospital project I mentioned, we finished it 2 weeks ahead of schedule and under budget. My boss pulled me aside and told me they're already looking at me for an even bigger role when the current director retires next year. 2 months in, and I'm already being groomed for upper management. That would have taken me 5 more years at my old company, minimum. But let's talk about the Quinn situation, because yeah, it's definitely a situation now. We'd been grabbing coffee pretty regularly, always keeping it professional, always project-related. Then about 3 weeks ago, we were working late on a bid proposal, just the two of us in the conference room, trying to get everything perfect for this big client presentation. Around 9 p.m., she sat back and said, "Okay, I'm ordering pizza because my brain is fried. You want in?" We ended up talking for 2 hours. Not about work. She asked me about why I moved to Denver, and I gave her the abbreviated version, left a relationship that wasn't working. She nodded and said, "I moved here 2 years ago for similar reasons. Whole life in Portland, boyfriend who turned out to be engaged to someone else, decided I needed a fresh start somewhere nobody knew me." That's when I realized she wasn't just smart and good at her job. She got it. She understood what it's like to walk away from something that looks good on paper but feels like slow poison in real life. We started hanging out outside of work after that, grabbing dinner sometimes, checking out this photography exhibit she wanted to see, normal stuff. Last weekend, she invited me to this cooking class her friend runs. I have 2 spots and my friend Bilade, you interested? Kind of random, but I said yes. The class was great. We made pasta from scratch, drank wine, laughed at how bad we were at it. Afterward, we were walking back to our cars and she stopped and said, "Look, I like you. I'm not expecting anything and I know you're probably not ready for anything yet, but I wanted you to know that I'm interested. Whenever you're ready. Or not, no pressure." I appreciated how direct she was about it. I told her I needed more time, which is true. She was understanding. We hugged and went our separate ways. No weirdness, no guilt trip, just honest communication. What a concept, right? Meanwhile, the Lena situation has gotten messier. She had to move out of our old apartment, couldn't afford it on her own. From what I heard through the grapevine, she's living with Seth now. Funny how he was MIA when she needed emotional support, but suddenly reappeared the moment she needed a place to stay and could help him with rent. Tom told me this with a tone that suggested it's not going well. Apparently Seth's studio apartment is basically a glorified garage with windows, and Lena's discovering that her knight in shining armor is actually broke, unmotivated, and kind of a slob. Who could have possibly seen that coming? About 2 weeks ago, I got a Facebook message from Lena's best friend Rachel. Rachel and I had always gotten along fine, though we were never particularly close. The message was long, but the gist was that Lena was really struggling and finally realizing what she lost, and could I give Lena my address in Denver because she really needs closure. I wrote back, "Rachel, I appreciate you reaching out, but no. Lena knows my phone number if she actually needs to talk to me. She doesn't need my address." Rachel responded with, "She's afraid you'll just hang up on her." I didn't respond to that because, yeah, that's exactly what I do. Then the voicemail started up again. Not daily, but maybe once or twice a week. They've evolved from angry to sad to desperate. The most recent one was her crying and saying she understood now that she took me for granted, that Seth was never really her friend, he just wanted attention, that she'd do anything to fix this. I finally blocked her number. Last thing, I finally signed the paperwork to officially break the lease on the old apartment. Cost me about $2,000 in penalties, but it's done. I'm officially off the lease now. Drew told me she had a complete meltdown about that. Sent him like 20 texts in one night about how unfair it is that I get to just start over while her life is falling apart. Drew, being a real one, sent me screenshots and said, "Just so you can see how crazy this has got." Well, but that isn't my problem anymore, is it? So yeah, that's where things stand. Life is good. Work is great. Quinn is. Quinn is really great, actually. And Lena is learning that the grass isn't greener, it's just different grass, and sometimes that grass has rent to pay and no one to split it with. Still not unblocking her, though. That bridge isn't just burned, it's been demolished, and they're building a highway over where it used to be. Final update. Okay, Reddit, I promised myself this would be the last update because at some point this stops being getting advice and starts being writing a memoir. But the finale to this whole saga happened last week, and I feel like you guys deserve to know how it ended. Life update first. I'm official with Quinn now. We made it Facebook official last month, which felt weirdly adolescent but also kind of nice. She's been absolutely incredible, supportive without being overbearing, independent without being distant. Her friends are great too. I've been absorbed into this whole social circle of people who actually do things, hiking, rock climbing, trivia nights. It's a completely different energy from my old life. Work is phenomenal. They officially promoted me to Senior Director of Project Development 2 weeks ago. It came with a raise that's frankly absurd and an office with an actual view of the mountains. The team I'm building is solid, and we just landed this massive mixed-use development project. 5 months ago, I was sitting in an apartment wondering why my girlfriend kept choosing someone else over me. Now I'm leading projects I used to dream about. It feels kind of surreal. But onto why I'm really writing this. Last Tuesday, I was in the office around 11 a.m. on a conference call with some contractors. My assistant knocked on my door during the call and handed me a note. "Woman in lobby asking for you. Says she's an old friend. Name is Lena." My stomach dropped a little, not going to lie. I wrapped up the call and went downstairs with my assistant following. And there was Lena standing in our lobby looking rough. She saw me and immediately started talking. "Peter, please, I just need 5 minutes. I drove all night to get here. I know I messed up. I know I took you for granted. Seth was a mistake. The whole thing was a mistake. I miss you. I miss us. I miss what we had. Can we please just talk?" I was trying to figure out how to handle this professionally since we were in my office lobby, but then Quinn walked in from the parking garage. She stopped when she saw the scene, immediately understood what was happening and walked over to us. Lena looked at her, then at me, then back at her. "Who is this?" Quinn extended her hand. "Quinn Hawkins, I'm an architect here. You must be Lena. Peters mentioned you." The way Quinn said it, perfectly polite, perfectly professional, but with this undertone that made it clear she knew exactly who Lena was and exactly what she'd done. Lena didn't shake her hand. "I need to talk to Peter alone," Lena said. "That's up to Peter," Quinn replied calmly. "I finally found my voice." "Lena, I don't know what you thought would happen by coming here, but we don't have anything to talk about. I've moved on. You should too." "Moved on?" Her voice got louder. "It's been 4 months. 4 months and you won't even talk to me. After 2 years together, you owe me at least a conversation. How can you be this heartless?" This is when Quinn turned to Lena and said, very calmly, "This man isn't heartless. He just chooses to put his effort toward people who actually value it. You spent months making him feel like he was being unreasonable for wanting basic respect in his own relationship. He didn't owe you an explanation then, and he certainly doesn't owe you one now." Lena's face went red. She looked at me. "This is who you replaced me with. Some corporate bitch who doesn't even know what we had." "Okay, we're done here," I said. "Lena, you need to leave now." "No, we're not done. We've been together for 2 years and you just threw it away because I was trying to help a friend." "You weren't helping a friend," I interrupted. "You were prioritizing your ex-boyfriend over your actual boyfriend. And you're here now because Seth didn't turn out to be what you thought he was, not because you actually want to be with me." She started crying then. Security had wandered over by this point. One of them approached and asked if everything was okay. "This woman is leaving," Quinn said before I could answer. Lena looked at me one more time. "I hope you're happy with your upgrade. I hope she knows that you're the kind of person who just abandons people when things get hard." Quinn laughed. Actually laughed. "Honey, things got hard for you the second you had to pay your own rent and realized your ex-boyfriend is useless. Peter here is thriving. The only thing he abandoned was a situation where he wasn't valued. That's called self-respect." Security escorted Lena out. She was still crying, still trying to look back at me. I felt a mix of emotions, pity, relief, vindication, but mostly just tired. Quinn touched my arm. "You okay?" "Yeah, thanks for that." We went back upstairs. My assistant brought me coffee. By lunchtime, the story had made it through the office. I was a little embarrassed. Well, at least it was over and I got to see how amazing Quinn was. I found out later that day from Tom that Lena and Seth broke up about 3 weeks ago. Apparently he'd been cheating on her, shocker, and also borrowed money from her that he had no intention of paying back. She's been couch surfing with friends and trying to figure out her next move. Rachel told Tom that Lena had been talking about getting Peter back for weeks and convinced herself that if she just showed up in person, I'd realize I missed her. Guess what? I don't miss her. I miss who I thought she was, maybe. But the actual person, the one who spent months making me feel unreasonable and then played victim when I left. No, I'm happy now. Really, genuinely happy. I wake up next to someone who treats me like a priority, not an option. I work at a company that values what I bring to the table. I live in a city I love, in an apartment that feels like home instead of like a holding cell where I wait to be forgotten. Lena's going to be fine, eventually. She'll figure her life out. But it won't be with me, and I'm completely at peace with that. Thanks for everything, Reddit. I'm out.